It's demo time. Preview of what's coming down the pipe in 9. So let's make a course. Sure, whatever. Uh, Implementing the design should be really hard. You have to learn about what it is. Or, so I really want to introduce you to new content options. Headings are fun. Sure, block quotes as well. I haven't actually tried that one, but should I have it applied? Block quote. Sure. Let's see. Below list of things here. Okay. And let's do sure video. Just to illustrate sort of where we're at with some of these. Okay. Made some random content. Really like to introduce you. So I am going to go through my options. I'm going to implement a drop cap style. Yeah, let's try that one on. Background, looks kind of crappy with that color. So let's go with, sure, Wonder Purple or Discovery Coral is actually, let's go with old school pink, yeah. Roar Max. Doesn't look good with it. Like there's not a lot of content there. So let's add some padding to it and a margin to center it. Not quite as much as the padding. Ease up on the padding a little bit. Let's go with that secondary font. That's a much cooler looking eye. Navigation is kind of bland. Right? It's just a skinnier version, so we'll go with that. Font typeface. Let's go. Let's see. Ooh, that's way too big. All right, so let's take it right about, yeah, sure. Small. Let's work on the edges of that. I think it would look better. Yeah, large. And then we've got our border radius options where we can actually see a zoomed in preview of what will literally happen. So we could go with the full rounding, or let's just go with small band. Add a minor box shadow to it as well. All right, video player in this case, and add some text in there. I've not fully implemented these, but the idea is that the primary color aspect, which is now coming from the design system, that's the big deal with 9. HAX will now support design systems. So I should be able to start making themes, and the themes are actually informing the settings that are in place. Now, I'm not going to go and wire this up to Bootstrap or Material, but it is theoretically possible. These settings are actually coming from a combination of the system working with the design systems. The design system is implementing these sorts of aspects as far as margin and spacing. Right, we can get some borders to things. Still working on implementing with some of the other types, but some of the core text types have these things already. Right, so if I wanted to move this list in, and I can do the same sorts of textual things to it. Right, okay. I'll go with these, sure, combinations. And then I can put Greek on there. Another interesting aspect of what we've mapped here. So if I do global neon, you'll notice that the bullet points don't actually change. But if I find, there we go, opportunity green, they do. And the reason, keystone as well, is that the bulleted list has some visual intentionality, but it's not going to contrast enough with the white. And so therefore the system won't allow it to be that color. Right. So Discovery Coral wouldn't be a high enough contrast ratio. You might actually miss it and not notice that it's a bulleted list. Right. So some of these operate in that way. Similarly, all right, if we go to headings, headings have support for other design treatments, right? So we had drop caps in the case of the paragraph. Headings have the ability to add on these different levels of horizontal line, whether it's a specific one. We have the ability to invert the background color. And then for our purposes, as far as academic home, we're starting to work on this intentionality. It's not just a heading, it's a heading that's about to communicate about a task. And so we have our iconography there. But now, Similarly, as we switch through these, right, you can see the colors shift when we know that this combination of design, color in this case, primary color, right? Primary color leveraged as a background. It has certain criteria where if I were to go pew blue, it will match that. However, if I go to, let's say, original 87, and then we switch treatments. So let's go to like a horizontal line. We can combine this with our iconography, right? So we have the iconography and it's pink, but much like before, you see the accent line for this global neon color, which is just absurd, right? Global neon, the accentuation on the heading is literally just for pure aesthetics. It has absolutely no purpose. There's nothing implying that it's doing anything special. But the icon does have intentionality. It does have something it's trying to convey. Now, obviously, that has to happen in textual form as well. But notice that it's picked up and it color shifts accordingly. So if it's on the background, it's going to be that color, right? If we are on a background, right, it's black, and then it'll color shift to white. But now if I take the heading off, it's going to pick up the forest green color because it can actually do that without violating, right? And you can see there, it won't allow me to select global neon. I mean, I can pick it, but it's not going to implement it. Global neon, but I can put it on the bottom. Discovery coral, right? And I could turn these off. I could also, and this is something our team will argue about endlessly, I can also go in and I can just use a color. And you'll see here there is a default color that we have assessed for these different things. And the icons obviously are still in flux. We don't have a zillion chess piece based ones. But it's kind of this is a biggie. We're going to be able to lay out content very nicely. And actually have it conform to the design system in question, which is very cool. So I can tweak this. You also notice that grid plate, put it there. Drop cap doesn't like working in a grid plate for whatever reason. It probably also really shouldn't if you think of that. But anyway, all right, I could add some additional padding on there because maybe I'm writing a paragraph, right? And if I take my grid and do 3 equal, that's too skinny, right? So I go back to that narrow, wide, narrow, and then we go back into this paragraph, and we want to change the font, the typeface. Let's go something nuts. Yeah, that's crazy. So let's get rid of our column. Oh, it doesn't want me to get rid of the columns because I don't have an even number. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right, still got to work on that. So under font then, all right, let's take it down to where to next. Now see, that looks bizarre because it's justified. And so we have to tell it that it is left instead of, or, we can do center. Center makes the most sense here. So then we could put some very basic treatment on this. It doesn't have to hover off the UI. We can turn off the border radius if we want, and maybe just give it a little tiny border, or give a tiny border. And then, all right, we can shift what that border is, so it's very light. I'm not going to let you change the text color in this case. Probably something we could hash out. There we